You might believe that changing your reality takes months, or even years, of constant effort, visualization, and personal work. That breakthroughs only come after long periods of struggle. That alignment arrives after you've mastered every method, checked every box, and followed every rule. But what if the real shift, the true quantum leap, happens in a moment so subtle, so quiet, that most people never notice it? There's a hidden rhythm in life, invisible until you're tuned in, that shows up just before everything transforms. It doesn't come when you push harder, or try more, or chase the next technique. It happens when something inside you stops forcing, stops doubting, stops scrambling. That pause? That's when the field finally responds. In this video, we'll explore the exact energy frequency that sparks a quantum shift. Why simplicity is often the secret your ego resists, and the subtle skills that matter more than any strategy. You'll learn the signs that you're on the edge of leaping into a new timeline, and why moments of breakdown aren't failure. They're gateways. Let's start with something you felt, even if you've never named it: the resistance to ease. That feeling when life begins to flow and suddenly fear creeps in, that quiet knowing in your core, while your mind demands proof. You know the tension, the clash between your inner clarity and your ego's need to survive. We live in a culture obsessed with struggle. Effort is praised. Complexity is admired. If something is simple, it feels suspicious. If it comes easily, it seems undeserved. But the quantum field doesn't measure how hard you push. It responds to clarity, to the purity of your frequency. And that clarity usually lives in simplicity. Simplicity is dangerous for the false self because if it's simple, what does all the past effort mean? If it's simple, what happens to the identity you built around trying, fixing, proving yourself? Simplicity strips away the drama. Without drama, there's nothing left to hide behind. This is why many people sabotage their own shifts. Not because they're broken, but because they're scared of how quiet truth feels. They expect fireworks. The field delivers silence. They want lightning. They get stillness. But it's in that stillness where transformation actually happens. The quantum field mirrors you in real time. It doesn't wait for your next mantra. It resonates with who you already are. And when you stop forcing, stop trying to prove, and simply become, the feedback loop changes. You stop looking outside for validation. You stop bending your frequency to fit circumstances. Instead, you maintain your tone, no matter what comes. This is the difference between manifesting and shifting. Manifesting is about creating something from lack. Shifting is about stepping into the version of yourself that already exists, just in a different timeline. And the only barrier between you and that version? Your energy filter. Not time, not effort, just energy. So ask yourself, what if the shift isn't hard? It's just unfamiliar. Maybe you've been trying to think your way into a new timeline instead of actually feeling your way into it. And maybe the real obstacle isn't your situation, your habits, or your past. Maybe it's your attachment to making everything more complicated than it needs to be. In the next section, we're going deeper into why so many people struggle to stabilize their signal, and how tiny blind spots can create so much static that the field can't read what you're sending. You'll learn the subtle ways you block your own resonance, and how to shift into a broadcast the universe can finally respond to. Let's move forward, because this simplicity you keep overlooking, that's the doorway. And once you step into it, everything starts rearranging. If a quantum shift is truly simple, then why doesn't everyone experience it? Why do people loop back into the same emotional patterns even after all the books, the meditations, the aha moments? Why does progress stall right when it feels like you're on the edge of a breakthrough? It's because simplicity demands something tougher than effort. It asks for awareness. And awareness without the cushion of complexity is uncomfortable. When life is complicated, you can blame the tools or the technique. When things are simple, there's nowhere to project. The mirror turns inward, and you have to face a harder question. Am I actually ready to shift? Let's start with the thing that blocks most people from holding the right frequency: blind spots. Blind spots aren't flaws. They're familiar patterns. Responses so automatic you don't notice them anymore. Stories you've repeated until they feel like fact. And this is the part most people miss. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you consciously hope for. It responds to what you unconsciously embody. You might visualize abundance with your mind, while your frequency is still shaped by old scarcity patterns. Not because you're not trying, simply because you've never questioned the signal you default to when you're not doing the practice. So pause for a moment and feel into this. What's the emotional tone you carry when no one is around? What lives underneath the effort, the affirmations, the rituals? That underlying tone, that's the signal the field mirrors. This leads us to the first real mastery skill: self-awareness. Not awareness as in journaling after the fact. Awareness that happens in the moment. The ability to watch your thoughts as they rise, without trying to correct them or run from them. The kind of awareness that notices when you're slipping into survival mode and chooses not to collapse into the old pattern. Then comes the next layer: radical responsibility. This is where your signal starts to clean itself. Responsibility isn't about blaming yourself. It's about claiming the energy you're putting out, especially the pieces you'd rather avoid. When you shift from "why is this happening to me?" to "what is this revealing about my frequency?" the entire feedback loop changes. Victim energy is loud but scattered. Ownership is quiet but incredibly magnetic. And then there's the amplifier: accountability states. These are the emotional anchors you return to, no matter what's happening around you. Most people wait for their reality to prove that their new state is working. But the ones who truly shift timelines hold their state even when the evidence doesn't match yet. They maintain their frequency until reality has no choice but to keep up. Accountability means you show up for your state when it's messy, when it's inconvenient, when every part of you wants to collapse into the old story. And then comes the paradoxical skill: letting go of the old way you judge your experience. We're trained to label everything. This is good. That is bad. This means I'm aligned. That means I'm failing. But what if the moment you fear the most is actually the final phase before the shift? What if the breakdown you're judging is simply your old frequency dissolving? Detachment doesn't mean shutting down your feelings. It means stopping the labeling. You allow experiences to pass through you without judging them, without declaring them good or bad. The quantum field isn't linear. Sometimes, the darkest moment carries exactly the calibration needed for the next breakthrough to land. This isn't just about thinking differently. It's about holding your vibration as if it's the only truth, even when life seems messy. That takes courage. It's far easier to distract yourself with rituals, methods, and mantras. Sitting in stillness, facing the loop you're stuck in, and admitting, "I'm filtering life through old patterns," is far harder, but far more effective. A quantum shift isn't complicated. It's surgical. It slices through illusion, exposing the parts of you that still need chaos to feel alive, and asks, Will you finally let these pieces rest? Next, we're going to explore the moment that comes just before the shift. That strange, energetic tension that happens when your old identity starts to dissolve and your new timeline is within reach. Most people mistake this for failure, but if you recognize it for what it is, you'll see it's actually the doorway to your breakthrough. Pay attention here, because this is the threshold where the old timeline ends and your true frequency begins. There's a moment, subtle, disorienting, and often misunderstood, that almost always occurs before a real quantum leap. It's when the old timeline loosens its grip, but the new one hasn't fully anchored. You feel suspended, like standing in a corridor between two realities. The past no longer fits, the future isn't clear, and every part of you wants to act, to push, to fix, to force. But in reality, you're exactly where you need to be. This space is sacred, even if it doesn't feel that way. It often shows up as confusion, fatigue, or misalignment. You might feel like you're failing, like your path disappeared, or that your vision is breaking apart rather than coming alive. If you don't know what's happening, it's easy to misinterpret this as a reason to retreat, overwork, or doubt yourself. Here's the truth. This isn't collapse. It's calibration. Before any quantum jump, your energy field must release its current coherence pattern. Think of it like tuning off one radio station before locking into another. That in-between space, the static, feels like disorientation, emotional noise, even the urge to run. But it isn't danger. It's the threshold. Your old frequency can't support your next chapter. That's why things feel like they're falling apart. The energy that held your old identity, the beliefs, habits, and loops defining who you were, is disassembling without that charge. Your ego panics. It creates fear, doubt, and restlessness. This is not a mistake. It's the ego resisting the shift. Most people quit here, not because the field rejects them, but because they misinterpret the friction as failure instead of transformation. Here's the key. If it feels shaky, you're close. If it feels uncertain, you're almost there. What you're witnessing is your frequency shedding everything that no longer aligns. This is why detachment is essential. Judging this transitional space too soon gives it meaning that pulls you back. Labeling it wrong or stuck simply reinforces the old pattern. But if you can remain centered, not forcing, not controlling, but in pure awareness, something subtle begins to shift. The chaos softens, the edges dissolve, and you begin to move. Not by pushing, but by allowing. This is the point where magnetism naturally emerges. Not because you're forcing it, not because you're hustling harder, but because you've stopped leaking energy through resistance. Right before a quantum shift, your nervous system is learning to hold more power. And that power isn't born from intensity. It comes from coherence. When you stay present in uncertainty without labeling it, your field begins to organize itself around your stillness. That's when the quantum field actually responds. So what do you do in this space? Paradoxically, nothing. At least nothing in the conventional sense. This isn't the moment to fix, force, or push. It's a moment to tune in. Breathe into the discomfort. Notice the stories running in your mind. Soften the timeline. Your role isn't to manufacture a new reality. It's to become available for it. That's the essence of the real shift. Not controlling outcomes, but surrendering into the vibration that already contains them. Next, let's break down how the field reads your signal and why what you think you're projecting might not be what the field actually receives. We'll also explore how to clean your resonance, so you can align with the life already waiting for you in the quantum. You don't need to push harder, you just need to hold your frequency, even when nothing seems to make sense. That's when the portal opens, when reality starts bending, and when your shift becomes inevitable. Let's talk about signals. You've likely heard that the quantum field responds to frequency, not words. But here's the nuance most people miss. Your energy is always broadcasting, whether you intend it to or not. And the signal the field reads isn't your intention, it's your embodiment. You can claim readiness. You can meditate, visualize, write affirmations. But if your energy underneath carries doubt, urgency, fear, or performance, that's the true message the field receives. The field doesn't hear your words, it mirrors your resonance. What does that mean in practice? Your inner world is the only strategy. Your nervous system is the instrument that tunes your life coherence. The alignment of thought, emotion, and state is the signature the quantum field responds to. Coherence doesn't require perfection, it demands presence. Think of it like tuning a radio. Even a small misalignment produces static, fragmented, distorted signals, only a whisper of the melody coming through. The same happens with your field. When your frequency is fractured, wanting but doubting, asking but fearing, speaking but not feeling, your signal is unclear, incoherent. And incoherence produces only one thing: delay. This is why quantum shifting isn't about doing more. It's about cleaning your signal. And cleaning doesn't mean censoring your emotions. It means aligning them. It's about fully owning your energy so that there's no gap between your intention and your embodiment. Here's the catch. Most people try to force coherence. They attempt to think their way into a feeling, overanalyze their vibration, micromanage their state like a project. But coherence cannot be manufactured. It emerges when control is released, when presence is prioritized, and when your energy is allowed to naturally harmonize. It always comes back to surrender. You can't force your way into resonance. You can't think your way into alignment. You get there by softening, by dropping into the version of you that's already whole. So what actually creates that kind of resonance? Clarity, stillness, brutal honesty with yourself. Choosing to embody the life you want before it shows up. Not as a performance, not as wishful thinking, but with a quiet certainty that doesn't need proof. That's the signal the field responds to. I already am. I already hold. I already match the frequency. Not because the reality has arrived, but because the truth already exists inside you, and this is where the shift actually begins. Not through effort, not through grinding, through attunement. The moment your nervous system starts trusting your own frequency, everything settles, and once your signal stabilizes, life finally has something to organize around. So here's the moment of truth. Comment, "I am the shift." Let it be an anchor, not a declaration to the universe, but a reminder to yourself. Say it as a confirmation, not a performance. When it comes from embodiment, the field hears you. And when the field hears you, reality moves. Now let's break down how the field mirrors you, how your attention acts like a selector, how coherence becomes a command, and why trying harder is the slowest way to change anything. Because here's the real insight. You don't change reality. You step into the version of you that already lives in the reality you want. And that shift doesn't take months. It doesn't take years. It starts right now. You felt resonance. You felt coherence. Now let's look at why some intentions manifest instantly, while others just float around with no landing place. The reason is simple. The field doesn't respond to desire. It mirrors your dominant frequency. And your frequency is shaped by one thing, where your attention consistently rests. Let's make this simple. The quantum field is infinite. Every version of you already exists in it. Every outcome is already encoded as possibility. According to the observer effect, nothing becomes solid until it's focused on, until attention collapses the wave. Your focus doesn't just notice reality, it chooses it. This is why shifting isn't about control, it's about selection. You pick the timeline with your attention, and you lock it in with your emotional state. Most people scatter their focus without realizing it. They think about abundance in the morning, fall into fear by noon, and end the day in uncertainty. That's not consistency, that's noise, and the field doesn't punish noise. It simply reflects it, which is why life feels scrambled sometimes. The signal isn't clear. But when your attention becomes steady, when you can hold a vision without grasping, without obsessing, without needing it to appear, something clicks, the timeline starts moving toward you. People show up. Opportunities show up. Decisions fall into place almost automatically. You're not changing reality, you're matching the version of reality that already fits your frequency. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Thoughts don't create the shift, identity does. Your mind might want the change, but your emotional signature, the identity you operate from, might still be tuned to the old timeline. And if that's true, the field won't mirror what you think. It'll mirror who you are. This is where the inner work stops feeling like a checklist and starts feeling like a homecoming. Every time you return to coherence, not by fixing yourself, but by remembering yourself, you strengthen an identity that was already alive in you, not a future version, not a goal, a truth you've been carrying all along, waiting to be claimed. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not in your words, not in your effort, in your tone, in your honesty, in the quiet place you rarely visit. Because that version of you, the one living the timeline you keep dreaming about, isn't hiding behind the horizon, it's available right here. You don't reach for it, you receive it. Now we move into the final chapter, the part where everything becomes simple enough to live. You'll see how quantum shifting stops being a technique and becomes a way of showing up. You'll also learn the last key to stabilizing a new timeline so it doesn't flicker in and out, but locks into place as your new baseline. Stay with me, the shift isn't coming. It's already unfolding. Let's bring it home. By now you know the quantum field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. It doesn't listen to what you say you want. It mirrors what you consistently are. And the shift? It's never been outside you. It's always been the simplest thing. So simple, the ego keeps trying to bury it under work, methods, and complexity. But the people who actually shift, the ones who hold new timelines, know the simplicity is the doorway. And the reason most people don't stabilize isn't because they're failing. It's because they don't stay long enough in the signal that creates the shift. So let's say it without dressing it up. You don't shift by doing more. You shift by being clearer, calmer, truer. You shift the moment you stop chasing the future you and start living from them. And that doesn't mean pretending, it doesn't mean forcing positivity or dodging your emotions. It means holding your inner landscape with enough strength that your identity doesn't collapse every time life gets loud. That's real emotional mastery. That's energetic maturity. And that's what the field mirrors back. You're not here to run after the shift. You're here to embody the one who moves through shifts with ease. When that clicks, reality stops feeling like a survival game. It becomes a reflection, Your presence sharpens. Your energy speaks before your mouth does. You need less effort to be understood. You ask for less but receive more. Not because you're tricking the field, but because you're finally in tune with it. This is why the real teachers don't hand out long lists of techniques. They transmit states. They help you feel something ancient, something you've always held but rarely trusted. They strip away the noise so the deeper truth can breathe. So here's your reminder. You're not becoming anything. You're remembering. The timeline where you're steady, grounded, magnetic, certain, it already exists. Not because your circumstances have shifted, but because you've stopped outsourcing your frequency to them. Let this be the moment that stabilizes. Let this be the signal you return to when you forget. Not out of pressure, out of recognition. And if you're still here, listening, something in you has already shifted, maybe softly, maybe quietly, but it's there. If you felt it, if something in your chest opened, if your mind suddenly got quieter, subscribe, not for the next video, but for the next version of you. This isn't just a channel, it's a frequency, and every person who joins it sends a message into the field. I remember who I am, welcome back. You were always the shift. Now the field knows it too.